Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Male Perspective. I am your host, Lana Reid, and today I have with me Mr. Will Waldrop, and we are going to be talking about a very phenomenal story he has. But first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Now, I hear a little bit of a twang. Where am I speaking to you from?
I'm in Louisiana.
Louisiana. You know, I am much to my dad's dismay, I am a Saints fan. So, you know, you have a special place in my heart. Okay.
Well, you have a special place in my heart then. Go Saints.
Yes. My dad is a Carolina Panthers fan, and we go at it as dad and
Oh
daughter.
yeah,
But
I would say so. Same division. Yeah, I
yes,
bet you do.
yes, indeed. So you are a insurance executive, community leader. You are an active father to daughters Nina and Natalia, and you also have been tasked with carrying on the story of your wife and a poem that she wrote. So can you
Right.
tell us about your wife's journey and this poem that she wrote?
Yeah, sure can. The idea of the poem came right after the birth of our first child. She's 8 now. That's Natalia, and she just had this passion and this idea, this play on words, the Nuff, to write for Natalia at the time, and later, obviously, it became broader than that. But Natalia was the first grandchild on both sides of the family, so we had help coming in. We had all the grandparents, and then 3 or 4 weeks later, like all parents, you learn how to, or you let me rephrase that, you start learning how to juggle work, being a new parent. If anybody says they're ready to be a parent, they hadn't been there yet, right? So it was that kind of journey at the beginning. And so while we had help there, she started the first couple lines of this poem, Enough. And then when everybody left, obviously it got put on the back burner because there were more pressing things there. And so when we got her terminal diagnosis in June of 2017, there were a multitude of projects that she was working on, little videos for the girls, this, that, and the other, for the girls, just kind of leave for them. But she just kept coming back to this desire to get this children's poem done for them. And she thought that, it would be something they would have forever. And so we just kind of sat down and made a decision that when the girls were at school and she felt up to it, that's really where she should devote her energy to. Okay. And I mean, miraculously, she did. She, in the last couple months of her life, she was able to write that poem. We were able to get it videoed with the help of some friends and colleagues, and then that has kind of brought us full circle to where we are today.
Okay, and where are we today?
Oh, that's a good question. Because every day it seems like we're at a different spot, right?
Yes, yes, indeed.
It's been, a remarkable journey. When we were videoing and writing and doing those things before she passed away, never in my wildest dream did I think that I'd be sitting here talking to you, or pioneering this through news stations and partnering with corporations to get it in their stores and for them to get behind the mission like they have. And so every day a door opens and God opens it for us, and we're just walking through it. So.
There you go. So if I'm hearing and understanding everything correctly, your wife made these videos and the poem is part of these videos. So before she passed away, was it her desire to make it a book, or is this something that transitioned afterwards?
No, she actually made videos that were just her. She might have been laying in the bed telling a story of, hey, when on the day you were born, this happened. It was unrelated to the book.
Okay.
And obviously she wanted to be a children's poem. I think looking down today, there's no question that she nor I never envisioned it being at the stage of where it is today. I mean, we originally were, But now, granted, we were going through a lot of grief. You know, it was a tough time to have any long-term vision other than what was right in front of us. And, but it certainly was a desire of hers to have it as a book for our girls. But it is just, man, it's just blossomed into so much of a bigger mission, and has impacted so many people.
Okay, awesome. Now, the main character in the book is a unicorn, and unicorns are very special to me. I'm very strong on symbolism, and they mean a lot to me. So how is it that the unicorn became a key figure in the book?
Well, we were picking our illustrator for the book, and one of a dear friend of mine who I actually worked with, the illustrator that did the book, Kat Elliott, she knew Veronica very well. And while Veronica was going through her chemo treatments and you know, all the different things that go into the cancer journey, she bought a unicorn costume and she wore it around the house. She played tricks on the kids. You know, she would just try to be, she would always try to be the center of attention in a good way. You know, she wanted people laughing with her or laughing at her.
Yes.
And in a moment where we were all worried about her, she was all worried about everybody else. And so she got that costume, and she would wear it around. And what's so neat about our character is that, like you mentioned, you can't go anywhere today hardly and not see a unicorn of some sort, especially if you walk into a children's toy store or, you know, library, Barnes and Noble, wherever you go, there's going to be a unicorn, and they're all sparkly and they're all shiny and they're all perfect and they're mystical. But yet you look at ours and it's got a broken horn. It's got a Band-Aid on its knee. It's going through all these different scenes throughout the book, reinforcing that you can do whatever you want to do, that don't let the confines of being a woman define you. You know, that's not, you know, your self-worth and who you are is all dependent upon you and the confidence and the assurance that you have in yourself.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I was looking at the illustration in the book, and it's beautiful. Like you said, you know, it shows that you don't have to be perfect, but you can overcome and arrive. I'm curious, what was the process after, you know, your wife passed, and you said, now I'm going to turn this into a book. So I heard you mention illustrator, but what was the step-by-step process for you to turn this into a book?
Well, I can tell you, I have a dear friend who, it just so happened we've been friends for a little over a decade now, and he's an author and also authored children's books, and we've worked together on a lot of different projects prior to this. And so when this came about, as Alan Williams, he's the one that started Tailwind Publishing that has published the book, and he's put together an amazing team. And when he showed up after Veronica's passing, I told him, I said, I have something I want to show you, and I want your help. And so from day one, he and his team, his family, have been behind it 1000%.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. Now, let me be a little nosy here, because I know us wives, I'm a widow myself, so I can understand some of the dynamics of how it all plays out. But I know us as wives, we have these honey-do lists that we leave husbands as well. So I know your wife wrote this poem, and these are instructions for her daughters. But what did she tell you? What instructions did she leave you when she passed?
Well, some of them I can't repeat on a national
Better
show.
not get married again or something. But yes.
Oh no, she's all for that. She was all for that. She was all for that. She definitely had a time limit in mind, but she was all for that. But no, she, you know, the thing about cancer is, while it takes time away from you, it gives you time to prepare. And so the honey-do list were not your typical honey-do list. It just gave you the opportunity to really have conversations that you would never dream of having unless you're faced with this kind of adversity. And so, you know, that first part I say jokingly, but there was no list per se, but there were just so many conversations that we had where she wanted to make sure that I knew that her main goal was for me to be happy and for me to be there for these girls and just to be the best dad that I can be.
She sounds like a wonderful, wonderful woman.
She certainly was.
Yes, indeed. So how are the girls doing?
Oh, they're amazing. They're so cool. I mean, they're a trip. You go through life and you never kind of envision yourself just being this girl dad, and you learn so much real quickly.
Really quick.
They educate you. And we have a lot of fun together, and they've really embraced the book. They feel like little superstars. We were in our local grocery store the other day, and this gentleman was leaned up against the wall and just happened to be reading the book, the Nuff. And my oldest just strolls right up to him and says, "Hey, I just want you to know my mom wrote that book."
I love it.
And so it's neat to watch them take ownership in it, and just to be a part of it. That was the main goal in all of this, is for them to know that they're a special part of that.
I love it. So I hear that it's in bookstores, it's available publicly, but also it's being used in school systems or counseling, or did I read that correctly?
Yeah, it is being, it's in H-E-B grocery stores. It's in a couple other chains, and we look to push it to a couple more during this year. Obviously, this COVID pandemic has put a damper on some of the places we were, but really the main place where you can get the book and that you can find out about the backstory and you can get resources is the nuff.com. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I tell you, you talk about this pandemic that we're facing right now, but we have, like I mentioned earlier, such a great team, and they partnered up with a group out of San Antonio called Pre-K4SA.
Okay.
And they came up with this activity kit. You go to our website, you download it, it's free.
Okay.
It kept my daughters entertained for 5 hours, if that gives you any indication.
Okay, yes, because parents are
is,
pulling out their hair right now.
Trying to find something to do.
Yes.
It was great timing. It was just really a great idea, and it came from the right place, and just to get parents something extra, because you run out of ideas. We don't do this every day,
No.
God bless educators.
Thank you. Everybody's appreciating their teachers now. Like, okay, I'm sorry I had a problem with you earlier this year, but now I understand. I understand.
But not only that, but we've seen it used in different ways in a multitude of different communities and school systems where counselors are using it or teachers are using it, and the testimonies that we've gotten back have just been so validating and really redemptive.
Okay. Now, so we have the activity kit and we have the book and we have a whole team behind us, which is wonderful. Are there any talks of this segueing or moving on to other layers at this point?
We talk and we strategize a lot, and I can tell you, like I mentioned earlier, we walk through this door and then another one opened and we walk through that one, and so we're just being prepared for opportunities that are presented to us, and at the end of the day, we want to be in a position where this really pays dividends and makes impacts in communities all over the place, and that we're in a position to give back to those that are facing this, that might not have the support and the great team surrounding them like we do.
Okay. Now, the daughters, coming from a mother who has a lot of foresight, vision, and a writer, it seems, are they following in her footsteps? Do they write little things?
Well, so my oldest is 8, my youngest is 4, and I would say my oldest, yes, she's in 2nd grade, and she finished number 2 in the state in a creative writing project this year. So I can promise you that did not come from me. It takes me about 2 days to write an email. So that is all genes on her mom's side, but definitely very creative, very expressive. And
Okay.
so yeah, definitely right behind her.
I can just see them when school was in session, like, here, this is my mom's book. And yes, she wrote it for me. And look what I wrote. And I mean, it just has to be such a foundation for the women that they will become one day. It's just a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome,
Thank you.
awesome, awesome. So, so we can't explicitly tell all of the honeydew list that the wife left you, but what were some things that she left, some messages she left for her daughters?
Well, outside of the book, like I was telling you, she did create a handful of little small videos just telling different
Okay.
stories of her life
Okay.
and, experiences that they would have had together early on in their
Okay.
childhood that, that they would not remember. So she was, like I said, but when she was facing a very difficult and challenging time, she was preparing to give them a lot of experiences verbally, even though they won't remember them. I think it brings a lot of joy. Just when we read the book or just when we talk about something, it brings them a lot of joy just to hear about their mom and really to hear it from her mouth. It's pretty special.
Okay. So now that I'm kind of listening to all of this, I'm going to backtrack a little bit because I have a question here. How did you meet this wonderful woman?
We actually were both on a sales trip, and when I went down for my sales trip, I stayed with one of my college roommates, and she went down and stayed with one of her colleagues that lived in the town where the sales trip was being hosted, and we met there. And a couple months later, the company that she was working for restructured and relocated her to the city that I was living in. And
Okay.
I was new to the city; she was new to the city, and so that's how we met.
That's where it comes. Okay. I had a woman. How did this all start and come to be? And you guys had how many beautiful years together?
Well, let's see. We met in 2007, and she passed in 17, so about 10 and a half years.
Awesome. Awesome. I tell people, with my late husband, it's better to have had the small time I had with him than to not have had any at all.
Sure.
And I truly appreciate what I had. Um, what, because most of the emphasis is put on widows. Everybody knows the widow. Everybody knows the widow. But if you had any advice for men in this transition to being a widower, what would you give?
Wow, that's a good question. Uh, I think the best advice I would give is that it's a marathon, it's not a
Mm-hmm.
sprint, and there's so many things that you have to come to peace with before you can really pick yourself up and move on. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so many times men are just, we think we can do anything and fix a problem, and then when you can't fix it, you get frustrated, you get down, and then you couple that with the grief that you're going through. It can be a bumpy road,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think the biggest piece of advice I would give is just be patient and know that you're human,
Good
and know
tips.
that you know not
Good
to
tips.
not to plug what we're talking about, but there were so many times where I heard in the back of my mind that, hey, you're enough, you're doing good enough, on those days where I felt down, like I felt like I wasn't doing, being a good enough dad, being a good enough friend, being a good enough work,
Mm-hmm.
all those different things, all those insecurities we face. So
Okay, good
um,
tips.
be
Good
patient.
tips. Be patient. Good tips. Because men have different societal expectations, so the weight on you is a
Right.
little different. So you guys have to carry the load of grief a little different than women are allowed to cry and express their emotions, and so it's a little different for you. Do you have I hear you mention the grandparents, so you have a support system around you to help you with the girls?
I have a wonderful support system. Grandparents, the community I live in is unbelievable. They have just backed us up from day one and been so wonderful. And I couldn't ask for more.
How are the girls handling COVID-19? What are they doing? Are they out of school now, or?
Oh yeah, they have been. They are living the dream. They're not living daddy's dream, but they're living the dream. But you know what? It's like I tell everybody, there's a silver lining in everything. And with my career, I travel a lot. And so we've been grounded now for over a month. So this is the longest I've been at home in probably 20 years.
Oh, wow.
So it's been very nice to spend a lot of time with them and do some things that otherwise I wouldn't have been able to do, and interact with people that that I haven't seen in a long time, and just really get to kind of be intentional, and it has created a lot of opportunities. I hate that it's under these circumstances.
Yes.
Has created a lot of opportunities for me.
So you're successfully handling the homeschooling?
I would say that's a stretch. A second grader and a 4-year-old, there's things going on there. So we're educating the best that we can. But I got two smart little girls, and I think they'll be just fine.
Yeah, they sound brilliant if they're taking after both of their parents. Now, this is the first time you said you've been kind of down for 20 years that you haven't been consistently gone as much. Are you feeling comfortable in this now? Do you think this is something that you will like to see more of? Or I'm just thinking that it might be cool to kind of be there with the girls now as they start to.
Well, I enjoy both aspects of it. I enjoy traveling. I enjoy being around others. I enjoy, the social aspect of what I do. So it's, I guess I would say sometimes you do something for so long, you don't realize how tired you can get and how run down you can get. So this has been a nice break for me. But I would say that, I love getting out and being around people and doing those kind of things. So I'll look forward to when things get back to normal. I'm very social just by nature. So I enjoy that part.
Okay, awesome. Now let me circle back because I've just been all over the place. But let me circle back to the book. I'm wondering, with the girls, the daughters, are they active in the promotion of it and the marketing of it? Do they go out and maybe, read or, help with the marketing?
They've had the opportunity to do that a time or two. H-E-B grocery stores in Texas, real large grocery store chain. They had a weekend in over 300 of their stores where they had readings on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday at 10 and 2. And we were able to pick one of the San Antonio stores, and they went in and they were part of that, and actually got to go up and read the book. So, they enjoyed that. But, most of this is kind of exchanges like this. And so not a whole lot, but a little bit.
Yeah, because
just enough to feel like little celebrities,
Well, they are, and they deserve it. Yeah, I had seen on Facebook or YouTube or something like that. This little girl, she had story hour where she read different books to kids, and it just made me think that the girls probably were out there reading to the young ones and stuff like that, and that would be so cute to do that. Do you have the book somewhere close by?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want it because it's so cute. I want to see, yes. And you were talking about, there was one where they had the Band-Aid on. I can barely, is that what?
Yeah.
It's so cute.
I think we got a couple in here with the Band-Aid on, but this one for sure.
Because like you said, most people envision, unicorns as these perfect, mystical, magical creatures, but this really gives the message to,
this one here, she got holes in her jeans.
Yes, that's what I remember. Oh yes, the illustrator did a wonderful job.
She did an amazing job. And then obviously we have have another one here with the where the Band-Aid's clearly seen, but anytime you're looking for it, you can't find it, right?
That's
But
how it
there's
is.
definitely a couple of shots in here.
Great.
But, here you go. Here's them.
That's it. I love unicorns. That's great. Awesome. Awesome. That, I mean, that is some beautiful, beautiful illustration. How quickly did this project all come together? Did it take a while?
2 years from start until having the actual hardcover in hand was 2 years.
Oh, okay. So you have tons of books in the garage, or is this?
Not in the garage, but we do have a ton in inventory. So definitely here.
Okay.
We've had a lot of success, a lot of interest in the book, and we couldn't be more pleased with where we've gotten to.
Has COVID-19 impacted the getting out and marketing the book? I'm thinking that it's been really restricted now.
Well, to a degree, but on the other hand, is that people are at home, and we have a great social media program.
Okay.
Great social media team, and so I can't verify this, but someone was telling me that outside of household goods and groceries and honey-do list at the hardware store, that children's books are right there as one of the top sellers on online orders. And so again, it's just parents trying to have stuff to do with their children. So I think that there's I think that it's impacted us getting out and being in front of people, but we've utilized other measures like this and being, radio talks and those kind of things. And so we're definitely still have a lot of activity and a lot of interest in the book.
Okay, great. Now, before I get to my random question, I want to ask you, since you were the one who had the longest amount of time with your wife, and firsthand the type of woman that she was, what qualities, aspects about her characters do you hope that her daughters pick up?
Well, she was very selfless, and I always talk with my girls. We have a lot of conversation, a lot of dialogue, and what I always tell them is, I don't care what you are, what you do in this world, you're going to be a good person, and you're going to be confident, and you're not going to you're not going to derive your self-worth from a label. You're going to derive it from who God made you, and that you are imperfect, but that in itself is perfection, and that's the way it's supposed to be, and to never forget that.
You are doing a wonderful job as a father. If nobody ever tells you that, I'm going to tell you that. I'm pretty sure they do tell you that, but here's this perfect stranger who's going to tell you you're doing a wonderful job as a father.
Well, thank you, Lana. I appreciate that.
So I'm going to do the random question, and then I want you to tell everybody how they connect with the book. And I just would like to see, Nina and Natalia traveling around and talking to the little kids and, having story time. I just think it would be so cute to have them pop up and be little celebrities at different elementary schools and stuff. That would be too precious. Let's see what we've got here. In a unicorn, with a unicorn too. I can just see the whole thing. Okay, here we go. All right. Best place you've had a burger at?
Oh, man.
I told you it was random.
My backyard.
Oh, so he's the grill man, huh? You were the grill man, huh? It's such a backyard. It's such a testosterone thing. Men in the grill, huh?
You got to do it.
All right, I'll have to come down there and visit when the Saints are playing, and maybe I can.
That sounds good. That sounds good. We'll take good care of you.
Thank you. I love it. I love it. Nothing like Southern hospitality. So, Will, please tell us how we connect with you and pick up the book, and I don't know how to get the girls to give us autographed copies and stuff like that. How do we do this?
Well, again, the Nuff.com. Very simple. It's the title of the book. THENUFF.com, and from that website, you'll see links to all of our social media outlets. You'll see the backstory. You'll see the opportunity to order the book. You'll see the free downloadable activity kit. Please take advantage of that during this COVID crisis, because it is really well done. Okay. And it's a free asset out there for parents, and that's really what we're trying to do here is get parents and kids moving down the right path and have an inspiring message, and I just can't thank you enough for having me on today.
Oh, thank you for making time for me. I'm just thinking we need to get some teachers and some educators to kind of get the activity kit and the book and their program. Just, it's just all such a blossoming thing, can go so many ways, and I wish all three of you and your support group, just continued success and blessings and stuff. It's just a beautiful thing that you are sharing with this world.
Well, thank you. God bless you. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you. That is all for this week's episode of The Male Perspective. I am your host, Lana Reid, and I will see everybody next time.